So we have Sreyeesh talking about Python in the film industry. Now, you could describe him as a technical artist and also as a mentor, and he helps artists, developers, and studios work smarter and create faster. He has worked with Disney and Blizzard and DNAG and different indie teams worldwide, bridging the gap between creativity and technology. Now, I was talking with him earlier, so I'm gonna give you a few of the projects that he has helped with. So he has helped with Garfield, the movie. He has helped with Westworld. He has helped with Gotham. He has helped with Overwatch. He has helped with Diablo. He has helped with World of Warcraft. So please, let's welcome to the stage the expert Sreyeesh.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. So today, we're going to be talking about something you don't normally see in the credits of a movie. It's PyCon, of course, because we're being a PyCon conference. It's like the invisible force that quietly powers the workflow behind modern workflows in filmmaking. From rendering to animation to visual effects, Python is used all the time. Python is everywhere in film. And over the next half hour or so, I'll show you how it works and why it matters, and why we use Python, and how it's shaping the future of visual storytelling in the film industry. So, next slide you're going to see is what I worked on in Blizzard. And I built the tools for Diablo 2 Resurrected. And I helped a lot with visuals as well as an artist, where one of the most important ways I used Python was to build the tools that supported the artist directly in a trailer. There are endless repetitive tasks around animation and cameras. For example, the cinematics that you see here. I was setting up dozens of shots, renaming them, adjusting cameras, and exporting versions, and that eats up a lot of manual labor time. So I wrote Python scripts that automated a lot of that. So for example, we had a camera setup tool, which I'll talk about later as well. So instead of an animator spending 20 minutes lining up a new shot in Maya, my Python script could generate consistent cameras with the right naming and framing in seconds. Artists could then focus on the creative part, which you see in front of me here. It's refining the motion, the acting, the emotion. Instead of losing time on technical setup, Python came in and helped the artist be more creative. I also built the animation helper tools for the facial animation as well, like batch importing and retargeting, and we're automatically checking the errors before a shot went to render. So this meant that there were fewer mistakes. I reached the directors, and then the team could trust the workflow more, which is important when you work on a big scale project like this. So, and on top of that, the Python kept the workflow smooth, basically. It was helping us with versioning files, organizing an output for it, editorial, making sure every shot fit into the bigger story of the pipeline. So in short, Python became an invisible teammate for us. It didn't animate, but it gave the artists superpowers, freeing them from repetitive tasks and letting them stay focused on storytelling. So if you guys want to see more of this is all on YouTube as well. So for Blizzard's website. Perfect. So, like before I said, behind every blockbuster, there is Python. It may not be on the poster or in the trailers, but it's there. And making sure that the shots render, the animation stays consistent, and the visual effects are coming together. This is the hook for the top. No matter how big or small the production is, Python is the hidden partner in the creative process. So, why Python, not other languages, you may ask? So, Python has become the industry standard in film production because it's simple, it's readable, it's incredibly adaptable. Artists, not just engineers, can learn it as well. That means technical directors and animators can actually speak the same language. It's also universal. Whether you're in Maya, Blender, Nuke, Houdini, or Katana, and these are all DCCs, all the softwares that we use in the film industry. There's Python running under the hood. And because it's integrates so easily across tools, it's perfect for solving real-world problems and production, so that the ones that take up hours of time don't slow down creativity as well. So that's why every major studio that you see around the world uses Python, from Pixar to Weta to Blizzard, has Python baked into their pipelines. So, rendering pipelines, which is what I've done a lot of as well within the film industry. Rendering is one of the biggest bottlenecks in filmmaking. Every frame can take hours to calculate, and a feature film needs millions of frames. Without automation, artists spend their times queuing shots, checking settings, and fixing broken frames. With Python, that all changes. So I've written scripts in my workflow where I can script batch render overnight with Python automated, so you don't have to manually click it. It just has a background run going. I can also write a Python script to detect failed frames. So when you're rendering, you can see if there's an anomaly in a frame that's being rendered. And then also, you can use Python to retry the render of a specific frame, or distribute work across an entire render farm. And nowadays, a lot of render farms are done on AWS and the cloud as well. So in Maya, the way it works with Python is Python manages render layers. In Katana, which is another software which I've used for lighting in movies, it handles the light passes. In Nuke, which is a compositing software, it automates compositing. So the results are simple. Instead of babysitting the machines, the artist can focus on the art. And the rendering goes from a painful bottleneck to a smooth background process. So, next we're going to talk about animation workflows. And I've kind of done a little bit of everything within the film and the game industry, where I work from lighting, to previs, to animation. And as a technical director, we're always using Python to build our tools. And animation is the heart of storytelling. But the workflow around it is filled with repetitive tasks. Animators often spend time renaming, exporting files, preparing assets, and cleaning up scenes. None of that is creative, but it all has to be done, you know? And then, again, as a technical director and artist, all studios run into this problem. Python takes care of that overhead. We can write scripts in Python, where in Blender, the script can export an entire scene into game engines, where it solves manual time and prevents people from being slowed down. In Maya, scripts can adjust rigs and constraints automatically with Python, of course. So here's what that means in practice. If 10 minutes loses 20 minutes a day for the file prep, then 16 hours a week wasted, a single Python tool can reduce that to minutes, basically. That's how fast it is. The real value is not just efficiency, it's freedom. Python gives animators their time back, so they can focus on acting, posing, and storytelling with So here is an example tool that I made for one of the projects that I did for the cinematics at Blizzard. So what you're looking at here is this is the actual Python tool that I built in Maya to help me automate the depth of field for cinematic shots. It's not hundreds of lines. It's actually pretty compact. So let me explain how it works. In the step 1 setup at the top, you can see the script tells Maya which camera to use, which character it should track, and that's all we need to define. And what's looking and where it's looking at. So step 2 would be then the script checks the start and end of the shot for the frames as well. So then we loop over every frame in that range. Frame 1, frame 2, all the way through the sequence. On each frame, the script asks Maya, hey, where's the camera right now? Where's the character right now? So that way we don't have to manually figure out the depth of field on a camera. With those two positions, it calculates the straight line distance between them. So then finally, it takes the distance and it writes it into the camera focus distance attribute. And then it sets a keyframe so that the value is locked to that frame. So frame by frame, the focus follows the action automatically. So what does this mean in practice for something like this, right? So when you saw that cinematic that you saw earlier, this kind of tool, as an example code that I wrote here, helps the animator to set up a camera so they don't even have to worry about depth of field anymore and aperture, so they can focus on what's important to them is the animation. So instead of manually keyframing the depth of field, which takes days or weeks to get the right aperture for a camera, this runs in minutes. Directors can get an instant preview during dailies also as well. And artists keep full creative control. They can still tweak, but they don't have to start from scratch. So that's the beauty of Python here in this kind of workflow. So let me share a bit more about the work that I did at Blizzard. So we were working on a cinematic sequence that you saw in the previous slides that I said. And the camera had to guide the viewer's eyes for the depth of field. It was a really big challenge for us to how to figure out why is it not looking correct. And we were shifting focus from one character to another dynamically within software. And that the problem was that doing this manually meant animators had to keyframe the camera's focus distance. So who all here used to like a regular camera and understands depth of field? Okay. So I developed a Python tool, that same tool that you saw. It analyzed the scene, calculated where the action was happening, and automatically set the depth of field for the artist, and saved us a lot of time in the end, so that way we didn't have to do things manually and understand aperture or camera settings all the time. The results were quite immediate actually for the team. They started to put that tool into production quite immediately, and they still use it to this day. Basically, the weeks of manual work were eliminated for it because just setting up a camera, making sure the location of the camera is because we're working with big scenes would take a long time. And when we introduced these tools that were built with Python, a lot of things got sped up quickly. So as an artist, it's also essential to learn Python to help you speed up your workflows as well, so you don't have to do things manually. So more time for artists and more creative choices were made due to this tool being implemented. So that is the power of Python. It didn't replace the creative process at all, basically. It supported it, and it showed how a single tool can transform an entire workflow. So, scalability and collaboration. Film is not created by one person, but sometimes today it is because technology has changed over the last couple of years, and that too with the help of AI. It's hundreds of artists, often across multiple studios and countries. And Python makes collaboration at that scale possible with the tools that we built with it. It standardizes workflows, it integrates the version control really easily, and it ensures smoothly from animation to lighting to composite. So it helps Python basically helps us through the whole production process from pre-production to shipping a game or a movie. So think of Python in the film industry and game industry as the universal translator of a studio. It keeps everyone speaking the same language, so no matter what the tool they're using or where they're located, it helps them bridge the gap with the tools that we build with Python. So that's how big productions can stay on track. A lot of the things that we also use for Python in the film industry is for building dashboards, so that producers can see that the film is on track, all the tools are being used properly, and so it can give a bigger picture of the data that we're using on a day-to-day basis. So you're probably asking where is this heading, right, in the future? I know that we've all been hearing a lot about how AI is doing a lot of things now. And yes, AI has affected the film and animation industry and the game industry quite heavily, with the developers trying to figure out how to use it as a tool and not be afraid of it. And also recently, AI impacted a lot of studios to shut down for a while, which is interesting because they were scared of it. They didn't understand the tool. And that's when the actors and the writers went on strike, because they thought their ideas were going to get stolen. They thought that their art was going to, or their looks of how AI was doing generated art and how they were able to generate themselves was going to get stolen, so they're not going to get their fair pay for acting. So a lot of people were scared of it. But with AI, Python drives machine learning frameworks like TensorFlow and PyTorch. And studios are using these to automate rotoscoping, for instance, simulate crowds even, and also generate lip sync and clean up footage. So, yes, an artist can go in and also, make sure that the AI is doing it correctly, and then approve the work. And then if they have to go back and fix it, they can go back and fix it as well. So the future of filmmaking is quite hybrid these days, and a lot of studios are adapting to the use of AI. So it's becoming part traditional, part real-time, and it's all being powered by AI now. So in Python, again, is the bridge that makes it work. So we're going to be getting close to wrapping it up here as well, and that way we can have some time for questions later. So we've seen how Python kind of automates rendering, streamlines animation, enhances visual effects, and enables collaboration. We looked at its future with AI and real-time technology. The Blizzard case study was the most interesting part because it solved a big problem, and using Python to build that tool was it showed people in the studios like, hey, we can build multiple tools like this, and it would save us a lot of time. And now they're following that workflow process closer as well. So Python, in the end, isn't just code for the film industry, it's a part of the creative process for us. And we use it daily as technical directors and artists to help artists go to the next level. A lot of the times when we get software out of the box, it kind of hinders us. We don't have a lot of the tools that we need. And then when artists start talking to people like me as technical directors or artists, and because we understand how artists think, we know how to use Python to build them the tool that they need, like a plugin that can be placed in the software. So, and remember, next time when you play a game or watch a movie, think about how Python was used, you know? And go from there. So, thank you so much for your time and attention today, and yeah, that's it.
Nice.
Let's get to mine. Yeah, super. So we do have some questions for you at the start. So let's take those first. So with all the innovation in the animation and automation, why does it seem that CGI is pretty much the same or worse than it was 20 years ago? It seems that so much more can be done, but do the producers not have the same passion, or like, what do you think?
So now the studios are seeing, with power of automation and CGI, it's being a money grab and a money maker. So they're trying to spit out recycled ideas, and they're not trying to put in the effort that was once made in films, in my opinion. And who all has seen the original Jurassic Park? Okay, so the original Jurassic Park is a sentiment to how visual effects and movies still stand out, because if you still go watch Jurassic Park 1 today, it still holds up. Where you go watch the latest Jurassic World, it feels fake. You're out of it's not bringing you the awe or the suspension of disbelief that movie should bring you. And so movies are basically being used as a money grab these days, and that's why you're seeing sequels, and it's just looking the same. The art, the feeling is not being there. The studios just want to put out a product, not passion.
Okay. There's a question about what Python version were you using?
Oh God. So, funny story. In the industry, we were starting with Python 2 years and years ago, and then we went to Python 3, and we were using 3.5.
Nice.
Even, and not the latest versions of Python. And so, it's the industry also, as artists, they have a hard time grasping why they have to always jump to version. But when we were going from 2 to 3, we had to do a lot of refactoring within our code base, because even with the introduction of F strings, that was interesting, where all our print statements have to be redone in a way as well. And so yeah, we were just using like whatever the latest version of 3 was at that time, when we were working on the cinematics and at Blizzard as well.
Okay, so in addition to the supporting creative tasks, what's your opinion on programming in itself as a creative endeavor?
As a creative endeavor?
Yeah.
So I use programming every day in my creative endeavors. So I'm a game developer also, and I use Python to make games with Pygame as well. And it's an excellent library to make small indie games that you can publish on Steam as well.
Okay, so looking ahead, where do you see the biggest opportunities for Python to shape the future of the film industry? Is it like automation, AI, or just like creative storytelling?
The way I see it shifting the industry is through all the above, actually. We want to make sure that the studios are not afraid, the artists are not afraid, because artists really don't understand technology. We want to make sure that they understand how it's going to support them. And when they hear words like Python, it's like, I don't care about that, but they don't understand like the back end is helping them be able to be better in the front end. So automation, creativity is all linked together in the end.
Okay, now it's more on AI. So with AI getting into filmmaking, as the consumers, what should we expect? Increase in quality or speed in filmmaking, or are you expecting any bad consequences?
Yeah, so the AI, it's interesting. I would expect for the bad consequences where things just don't look right. Like if you see, if you've seen the recent Indiana Jones movies where they de-aged Harrison Ford, they used AI for that actually, to help de-age Harrison Ford to look younger like he was in Raiders of the Lost Ark. And it still doesn't look that right. It makes it look really, really fake and takes you out of the movie. and it's getting better, but it's still not there, so AI is being used in that sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions from the audience? Put your hand up really high so I can see. Okay, there's one there. Could like someone run with the mic?
You talked about how Python streamlined production. How Python was used to streamline production. I want to ask about AI agents and MCP usage in them.
Yeah, okay. Sorry.
Can you repeat the last part? You want to ask about AI agents and...
So, how, how do you see with the advancement of artificial intelligence, how do you see the implementation or the collaboration of AI agents and MCP platform?
Okay. So I see that happening more on the production side, on the business side of production, and also a little bit on the creative side. So anything that you want to do manually to track numbers, how KPIs are being used, how dashboards are being represented, anything analytical. A lot of that with MCP and the modern tools that AI is introducing can help with that, especially for production. Because a lot of times people are still pulling those kind of numbers in manually from databases, and they're using Power BI on the production side of things. So a lot of the new tools, like you mentioned, would help production staff and producers on the business end help talk to creative directors and to artists with those tools.
Okay. Any more questions from the audience? There's one. The mic is coming.
You gave an example of a script that you wrote which tracks character and keeps him within the depth of field. And I was wondering, this seems like not that complicated task. So do you suggest adding functionality like this to the tools that you use, so that over time you can reduce the amount of scripts that you need to manage yourself?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Do you suggest to include features like this in the tools that you use? Was it for Maya, I guess?
Yes, so a lot of times we have suggested Autodesk to include that into, so that way the third-party vendors, they make custom software for the studio specifically, and they give us a specific version that's not ready for the market. So that tool is already now integrated into Maya.
Oh, that's great. Thanks.
Yeah.
Anything else from one back there again? I think.
With the introduction of artificial intelligence, thank you for two questions actually. The first one is why Python? Why not other languages? That's one. Mm-hmm. Then the second one is what do you see as the future for job opportunities for engineers, developers like yourself in the industry, especially now that AI can reduce the amount of workflows all time that's like 5 people can do to 1 year.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. Why not other languages? We do use other languages, but a lot of the times the APIs that are written in Python back in the early days of the film production and the studio. So a lot of the people who started the studios and the technical teams were using Python, but now studios are implementing tools like Unreal as well, where we include C++ and for real-time animation and real-time games also. And we integrate both C++ and Python together in Unreal Engine for a lot of the studio work that we do. And for the other part, for jobs, is the studios. That's a very good question because that's actually what's happening in games right now. A lot of independent creators who are making really, really great games with AI, and they're knocking it out of the park with AAA studios. And AAA studios now are having a hard time keeping up because the indie games that are using these tools are making more money than the AAA studios are these days.
So you're expecting it in the film as
Yeah,
well?
yes.
Yeah. Any more questions? It's not. I have one.
Yes.
What project are you like most proud of being involved with, or like what's your favorite if you have to choose
Yes.
one?
One of the favorite projects that I worked on was Gotham, the Batman show. Actually won a technical direction award as an Emmy, and I got nominated for the Emmy for that show.
We should be all like signing up for autographs, I feel like. So get your pens and paper ready. Okay. Now after this revelation, anything else? Okay, I think we can thank you for this very interesting talk and thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks so much.
Actually, who doesn't know, he is living in Estonia and
Yes.
is also speaking a little bit of Estonian.
Yes.
So we have this great person right here amongst ourselves. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.